Funny sparring stories. There's actually video of this somewhere, but not allowed to be seen. After Nick Diaz fought Anderson Silva, and Nick had like a little scuff under his eye. He goes 5 rounds to Anderson Silva, has like this little tiny scuff under his eye. A couple weeks later, and we're like celebrating and having a good time. And we went out to Hollywood and we got really, really, really drunk. And we ended up back in the hotel, hanging out, partying, you know, pushing and shoving turns into like play sparring, and like we call it like karate fighting, where like you don't actually hit each other, but you're like talking shit and like doing the moves or whatever. Nick takes me down, and like we're like kind of commentating it the whole time, like, oh shit, he takes me down, oh, but I got back up, oh, and we stayed up and they're throwing punches. And we started throwing punches at each other, not intending to hit each other. And apparently I hit him in the mouth by accident and didn't realize it. And he like takes me down again and like immediately takes my back and like gets me in the rear naked choke. And I'm like tapping like, oh, you got me, fucker. Like, hey, what the, you know, I'm like starting to choke. And like he lets go and I like turn around, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? And there's just blood all over it, and it split his, like filleted his lip down the center. And it's like 4 in the morning. He knows I didn't do it on purpose, but he's pissed. Like at the hospital in Santa Monica till like 7 in the morning. He gets 17 stitches in his lip. If you ever see Nick and you ask him about this scar, he'll be more than happy to tell you what happened. But yeah, that was pretty funny when it happened.
It was the first time I ever saw Nick talk shit. It was the first fight with Robbie. Robbie was dangerous. So Nick took that shit talking to DEFCON 5, and he got into the octagon. And the first thing he does, he gets into the octagon. He looks over at Robbie. He goes, "Stockton, motherfucker, Stockton!" And he starts walking around, "Stockton, mother." And Robbie's like, "What the fuck is he talking about?"
I would have thought he would have taken one to the ground. Slap by Diaz. Oh my! Daly, Diaz. Oh, Daly. But Daly all over Diaz. Daly is jumping on him. One area that Diaz. Ooh, beautiful straight left hand by Nick Diaz. Now Diaz to the body. Left hook by Daly. Diaz back downstairs up top. Daly pinned. Daly in trouble. Daly looks hurt. Daly holds on now. The Strikeforce World Welterweight title. Challenger in blue, great body work by Diaz. Oh, beautiful uppercut, looping right hand. Daly falling into 11 seconds. Diaz going in for the kill. And it's over. Diaz has made history. Nick Diaz. Holy shit.
Fighting, I think it was Maria Zaromskis. I think it's Zaromskis. He's supposed to be fighting Zaromskis, and he's on a conference call, and like he like leans in the conference call, he's like, you know, I'm just I ain't no bitch, you know, I'll fight, I ain't afraid to fight. And he steps away from the conference call, and you hear him hit the bong. You can hear him hit the bong, yeah. And then he comes back and he starts doing nunchucks. So while they're on this conference call, he's got the thing on, and they're asking him questions, and he's out there fucking doing nunchucks. He's high as fuck, and he hits the bong. And he says he's got a way to clean himself out. He said he just stopped smoking weed 10 days out. He said 10 days out.
You could do it, yes, but he has no body fat and he does so much cardio that he doesn't even let it get to the cells.
But the only time that he didn't do that was the Gomi fight. He tested positive for the Gomi fight, and they said there was so much weed in his system when they tested him that he had to be high when he was fighting. So what he did was just get ripped. Just completely ripped, and then went out there and fought Takanori Gomi and just outboxed him.
Can you imagine that?
Agora minha carreira, eu acho que eu conquistei uma grande posição, quero ter o cinturão e quero continuar muito ainda com ele. E aí acredito que tudo tem para crescer. Acho que eu quero me abrir as portas cada vez mais para o MMA. Eu quero ter minhas alunas também que vão lutar. Hello. She said that, you know, she's already married. She already has a good...
Stories about Nick that no one knows about that you were going to tell us.
Here's a good one. So we're out in Hermosa. We're having a good time. Nick's in L.A., and Nick never comes to L.A. He hates L.A. He hates leaving Stockton, period. So he comes to LA, and we're out having a good time one night. And he's like, I really want to do some things with some sponsors and get, just some extra cash on the side, just so I can, And I was like, dude, yeah, absolutely. We can make that happen. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself in my head, I'm like, dude, this is Nick Diaz we're talking about, so I have to be wary with this. And I had a couple sponsors lined up. I won't name names or anything like that, but I was like, yeah, I'll set something up for you, Nick. So we set up a meeting, and we go in, and right before we walk in, I said, Nick, whatever they try to get you to endorse or anything like that, I said, just fake it until you make it. If they want you to sell snowballs to an Eskimo, you tell them you can do it. And he's like, yeah, I got it for sure. So we go and sit down in the meeting. The guys come in, they're gentlemen, they're nice, and they shake Nick's hand. They're like, hey, how's it going? We sit down, and they start telling me about this new product they're coming out with, which is like this kind of training dummy thing that's used for mitt works. And they're going on and on about how excited they are and in detail about it. And after they're done giving their spiel, I turn to Nick, and I look at him, thinking to myself, all right, Nick, here's your chance to sell yourself, And I go, hey, Nick, well, what do you think about, demoing this product and showing the world, how to use this? And Nick looks at me, he looks at the guys, he leans back in his chair, he looks down at this table, he says, and then he looks up at us and he says, honestly, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. He's like, my jaw dropped to the floor, and I'm thinking to myself, this isn't happening right now. Like I must be dreaming. This has got to be a nightmare. And he's like, actually, that thing is so fucking stupid that you might be able to sell it just because I hate it so much and people hate me so much. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, what is going on here? Like. And you guys should have seen the look on the sponsors' faces. They were in shock, So it gets worse. It gets worse, or better now. At the time, I felt like it got worse. Now that it's all over and I can laugh about it, it's fucking hilarious. So I don't know why. For some reason, I kind of panicked, and I was like, well. What about their other product? What do you think about their other? Because I turned to the sponsors, and I'm like, well, maybe this product isn't for everybody. I'm sure there's people that would love it. And he was like, yeah, I bet Jake Shields would love that stupid shit. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, oh no. I was like, well, what about Jake? You think Jake would like it? And he was like, yeah, Jake would probably love that stupid shit. He'll use it. And I was like, this is awful. And then I'm like, well, what about their product? They make these supplements. And he's like, honestly, I don't know how people put that shit in their body. If I ate that shit, I would die. That would kill me. He's like, but you guys trick people into thinking it's good for them. And I'm sitting here now I'm sweating. And I'm thinking, okay, well, this sponsorship deal is out the door along with any other one that I ever wanted, try and negotiate ever again.
Oh, man.
The guy starts talking about he tries to go back to his training equipment, and Nick cuts him off. And these guys are in good shape. They run a supplement company, that kind of thing. So, one of them is a bodybuilder, and he's got a nice body. And Nick cuts him off in the middle of what he's saying. He's like, do you train, bro? Like, do you fight? And the guy's like, well, I used to do a little wrestling. And Nick cuts him off again. He's like, I can find you sparring if you want to come to Stockton. Meaning, like, basically, come to spar me in Stockton, I will fuck you up. It got so awkward that Nick got confrontational, and it was just, I walked out of the meeting and I was like, I didn't even know what to say. I was just so in shock.
We like, bro, these guys are giving us money. Why would you do that?
Wait, we'll say that again?
Did you say to him, hey man, look, they're trying to give us money. Why would you do that? You're supposed to be like, fake it till you make it kind of thing. Did you tell him that?
If you know Nick, at that point, it's too late. He's made up his mind. He was pissed off. He felt like they were a bunch of steroid freaks. He wanted nothing to do with their product. Like, that was just his mindset. It was hilarious, in my opinion.
a nice competitor. Give him warmed up. Warm up. 60 seconds dedication to warm up. Dancing, dancing.